Just few moments more, please. Sushma ji, you may please start.
Okay. Namaskar. Good evening. I welcome all the brothers and sisters in online meeting of Indian section. Today's speaker is Professor Ajai Rai, will be presenting his talk on the most important topic, water menace, part 1, which is related to terrestrial. Now let us begin the session by invoking the universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Now it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce Professor Ajai Rai ji. Ajai Rai ji is MSc in Zoology and PhD from Gorakhpur University and NEHU, Shillong, respectively. He has been teaching UG and PG students for over 44 years and retired as the head of the department. He has also been associated with research work with CSIR and UGC, mostly on development ecology. He is a member of Sarv Hitkari Lodge, Gorakhpur, for the last 20 years, and he is secretary of the lodge. He is also a member of executive committee of UP and Uttarakhand Federation. He has given many lectures on a specific topic, scientific, social, cultural, and theological, etc. From time to time, including during international convention, articles have been published. Present your talk, Professor Raja.
Good evening, one and all. It's a pleasure to present to you a topic which is a very challenging as well as it has a very, very indifferent meaning. I will not be out of place to mention. It was 4th of August. I was sitting in front of my TV when Pradeep Mahapatra Bhai had a phone. And he phoned me and he asked me, can you give a lecture on a scientific topic? I said, what is your choice? He said, any topic, what you want. Since it was the time when I was watching the TV, it was vineyard where from the Kerala, where catastrophe occurred, the two villages called as the Mundiki and Chelmal villages has been completely washed out by the storm and by the downpour, a very heavy downpour and a landsliding. It was a time, although more than 500 people has died and more than 1,000 people are still not traceable, are missing. So it was a time because of the big boulders, because of the rock coming from the down, because of the logs, big logs, and uprootment of the tree. Apart from the uprootment of the tree, it was the mud which was coming out. It was basically landsliding, which completely submerged and washed down the two villages, namely Mandaki villages and Chokamal villages. The Mandaki and Chokamal villages are the villages very rich with the nature. Rich with the nature, it is the villages predominated by the tribal people and who have the livelihood, especially on this small thing, but with the love and with the balance with nature. So immediately it stuck to my mind. I said, the water which we normally consider as a Mata, river, Ganga Mata or other thing, and the water we called Jal Hi Jeevan Hai, has now changed its character probably it has become a menace. The menace to the sense. Now, I have divided two. The menace, what the water is creating at the moment, is not merely because of the terrestrial, what we have done. And it is a interaction or it is a reaction of the nature to counterbalance it. So it is also the celestial, the thing which is being created has to be disappeared, dissipated. So I have divided this talk into two parts. The first part is that water menace during the terrestrial journey, the water journey, whatever it was, the water menace during that period. And the second part, I will be talking about the celestial. How do the stars and moon come to a position? You know that the moon coming causes a tidal. Tidal not only help in the upcoming and going of the trades, that is export and import, boats movement, but it also changes the hormones. And you know, the luminosity, the lunar cycle is related to the menstrual cycle of the human being. Even in the benthic region is those regions where the light do not penetrate. That is the deep seas, which is more than a 6 kilometer deep. 6,000 or more deep, where the light only the euphotic zones are euphotic zone, and then come aphatic zone, and then become completely dark. How do they affect? How do the movement of the wave, because of the celestial body, will be dealt into? And how do the tornadoes and other things form? And is it some are we expediting the process, the celestial destruction? So this is how the topic came to my mind. I will not be out of place to mention, even a couple of years before, we were suffering from a very pandemic disease where more people, times more people died than what they died during the World War period. That is, that is COVID-19. During COVID-19, it was a virus which was responsible to it. And when we talk about the virus, the existence of the virus in violent case or in the virulent cases, the two stages, that is a stage when they are active and the stage when they are a dormant state. Both these stages, it is the work of the water of the protoplasm, and the rigid and turbid condition of the water in the protoplasm do make it effective. And that is the reason that the COVID-19 occurred. Again, a manipulation, a curse of a water in the protoplasm of a microorganism, that is COVID-19. Coming down to the other thing, we have also heard about the black fungus which developed immediately after that. And then black fungus are the mucomycin diseases, as well as Omicron diseases. That was the nasofacial diseases that was in your nose, and nose, it goes to your bronchial system. Those diseases that has caused because of them, that is all the catastrophe or some imbalance of the water in the system. How do we prevent it to it? By the repeated washing of the hand, keeping yourself clean, and avoiding, that is by putting a soap so that the protoplasm, the plasma membrane, get broken into the pieces, and the plasma, that is the protoplasm inside, get destroyed. That is how we could, there was no medicine. There is no medicine to cure about the COVID. It is only the precaution, and it is only our knowledge, our interaction, reaction to it, and our precaution to it has saved us all. So that started me pondering about, has the stage come that water is now creating a menace? Is the water which is Delhi given has changed its cases? I got into the Theosophy to consider this point, to ponder upon the point. I came to know that there is a law of periodicity which runs into the system. The law of periodicity is divided into two parts, a part of Manvantar and a Pralay. A Manvantar is an active phase, a Pralay is in an active phase. That is almost both equal time, a phase of rejuvenation, a place for a refreshment, a place for detoxification, a place for the planning, as we have in the dreaming state, but what we call as that is the waking stage, the dreaming state, deep sleep, the Surya stage. So are the stages in this, and are we leading toward a Manvantar, a Pralay? When we get into the Cardio or a Nazaret or Nastrodrim, they have predicted that the world would be uh, finishing in a very short time. Even I have read in the paper and other thing that 1924 or sometime in 1922, the pralaya would come and we will win. But it is all wrong. According to Theosophy, almost for a 1 month, 42 lakhs 30,000 days comes, and that is called as the 1 day of a Brahma. And if you get into a biology, it has only reached half of the stage. Why do I call it has reached half of the stage? When we assess the dinosaurs, which were prevalent in the Mesozoic area, it is 50% of the journey. That is 22 lakhs, about 22, 30,000 lakhs, about this period has passed when the dinosaurs were present over there. So it is not the point, it is not the time. But then when even the science is true, when they develop a lab at a Geneva to form that is subatomic particle, that is a God particle, and there to generate, come to the Frederick higher stage, where he has given a postulation for the formation of the earth, for the formation of the universe by a Big Bang theory. That Big Bang theory, the spark, what they do, they develop a LHC, Large Hadron Collider, on which they wanted to create that spark by which it comes. And then only a certain scientific observations were that they would leak that particle and it will be uncontrolled. As we are now talking about artificial intelligence too, that we may lead to a stage when intelligence comes to overpower human being. And in that time, we may come to a no return. Similarly, that was the part it was being thought about, but good news is that they could develop a certain subatomic particle, and the experiment is still on to develop how the universe is formed in the lab. Now, similarly, the question of getting the earth getting into a pralay is probably, as a theosophist, I still rule out. But there are speculation, we do not know. But then, when we analyze the terrestrial condition and the places all around, we come to a conclusion that we are very close to these catastrophes. How are we very close to these catastrophes? Because when we talk about, let us say, when we talk about, I have taken a topic, water as a menace. When we talk about where does the water stand? How does the evolution has occurred? Evolution has occurred during a stage where the monadic essence, and that the idea is that the subtler body, elemental body has come into an existent elemental body, got into attached to the same numerous permanent body. And then there's the 5 elements which get attached to it. The 4th element is the water. So apart from Akash Tattva, Agni Tattva, Vayu Tattva, and Vayu Tattva ke baad, then water Tattva, that is water, and water is then earth. So out of that, the 4th earth is related to the astral field. Now, what is that? Astral is a causal body, is a vital body. What is the causal body or a vital body? Is it the body that creates synergy? Now, coming down to water, what does the water does? And as a biologist, as a scientist, I can say the water is the source of the energy. That is why we call Jal hi Jeevan hai. How does the water get into energy? We know as the law of the thermodynamics is the energy can either be created or can be destroyed. So where do the energy come from? The energy comes from God. It is not being created. How does the energy come to our system, to our what we call as a biosphere, or even in the lithosphere on the earth? How does it come to? So it's to reach to the lithosphere or the biosphere, it comes through a sun. And then I will not be out of place to name 2 scientists. One scientist is a John Eckerhor. He is an Englishman. He gave how the photosynthesis occur in case of light. What is the role of the light to be done? Light is a proton. That proton is a quark particle. You know, the light goes, the light gets into two forms, fermions and boson type, and then the light get into a small subparticle. They get caught energy and other things. I'm not going to get detail into this matter. But then what actually happens? The proton comes through the chlorophyll, the thyroid of the chlorophyll, which is present on the membrane of the chlorophyll, and it breaks water body. Breaking of the water body liberates H2O, gets broken into a two proton and a one nascent oxygen, plus certain amount of energy. This energy, as a black man says, in the dark reaction, they in fact combine the carbon dioxide. Photosynthesis is a process where the carbon dioxide and the water, in presence of the sunlight and the chlorophyll, get converted into, they produce a molecule called as the glucose C6H12 and a byproduct oxygen, that is the prana tattva by which the nature exists. So may it be a prana tattva, may it be the free energy which moves in the system, comes through the photosynthesis. And that is the source by which the solar energy gets transformed into, gets converted into a chemical energy, into a glucose. So now the point is, what I am talking about, it is the water, Jal hi Jeevan. And when Jal is the Jeevan, how does it is acting at this level? At the case of when you come into the electron transport system, what actually happens, even in the human system or living organism, what actually happens is that water is the most, and oxygen may not be. For ours, the oxygen is very important. We cannot live without oxygen for more than half an hour or even less period. We will die. Oxygen is needed. We need it to produce energy in the mitochondria. But there are animals which are anaerobic. They do not need oxygen. They go for a chemical synthesis. That is what I indicated. They, especially those animals which reside in the seawater, deep inside the seawater, at about 6,000 meter down, that is 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers below, where the light only reaches to the euphotic region or then comes to a diffuse light slightly at the apoptic region. But after 1 kilometer onward, light cannot penetrate. So 5 kilometers is a total dark. How do these animals survive there? The animal, now the question is not oxygen, but Jal hi Jeevan hai is a very true sentence for all, because every element, which is every life, is identified by the presence of a protoplasm. And protoplasm is a semi-colloidal process. And this form is only contains about more than 80% of the water. So the water getting into the flaccid or a turgid form, and this turgid and flaccid form is responsible for producing force on the membrane and action. That is through the active and the passive transport. I will not try to go into much detail of this process. But what actually happens? When the water is split in the mitochondria, now, at least one terminology of the science is probably aware to everyone is the ATP. Now, this water, when split, produces energy. They leave certain amount of electron in the system. And that system, in the electron in the system, reaches there, and at the cytochrome E, it is split water proton to the one side, and proton is taken by two energy molecules, that is NAD, nicotinamide dinucleotide, and FAD, flavin-adenine dinucleotide, and then ADP get converted into ATP. What I'm talking is the production of that. I'm using ATP for producing word, for creating a volume and etc., for visualizing, for every metabolic action. I'm using that. So that energy is produced in the mitochondria only by the splitting off. The rest is the food that is get converted reaches to a stage of that. So what actually happens? The system, the nature, which has combined carbon dioxide and the water to form a glucose, it reaches into our cell cytoplasm, and from a cell cytoplasm, it reaches into mitochondria. There is a cycle called as the Krebs cycle. In the Krebs cycle, it gets converted into the formation of ATP. Now that ATP is the source of energy, is the Chetana, is the consciousness, is the thing, is the subject of the astral body, that is vital body, that is the causal body, is responsible to it. Now this part clearly indicates that how water helps in bringing down the cosmic, the solar energy into our system. And how that, if the sun is not there, then all the life on the earth will disappear. Everything alive, when we talk about in the Theosophy, we start right from stones, right from the water. They all do have a life because they all have an electron. There are stones and there are the rocks which are found to be increasing in the size and the weight. So there are changes as we keep on modifying, we keep on growing. There are things that are growing it, but we are not able to observe to that nature. So friend, this reaction has clearly indicated the relevance and the importance of the water to us. But how has now the water been used as a curse? I would like to get to that point in a slightly more detail. I will not be out of place to mention the date, 3rd of April, 1984. It was the Rakesh Sharma from the, as a he was the Indian Air Force pilot as well as a cosmonaut. He, with the Russian S-11, he went to the space. And when he reached space, Indira Gandhi asked about it. How do you find yourself there? They said, fine. How is our Earth looking? Beautiful. Because all the other planets is not multicolored except Earth. Earth gives a beautiful color from the space. It is because of the water. It is because of the snow. It is because of the certain land or the greenery. So it gives a beautiful multiple color. So he said, yes. And then the second question Indira Gandhi asked, how about India? How do you find India? He said, Sare jahan se acha Hindustan. Why did he say that? Sare jahan se acha. Because when you see the topography of the India, 3 sides it is surrounded by the sea, blue in the color, Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, and all this ocean is surrounded by, at the top there is a Himalayan, which is also visible from there as a white. So a combination of white and a blue, a combination of the green forest, a combination of the yellow desert make our topography, our site as a earth, especially the India, as one of the beautiful sites. Now coming down to that, when we look into the earth, we find that the 71% is the earth contains about 71% of the water, only 29% of other material. So out of 71, I'm now then where now the catastrophe is happening. Where are the water is creating a problem? Now you will understand that. Out of the 71% of the water, 97% of the total water is the ocean, not to our direct use. We are slightly using for our economy, maybe getting certain mineral out of it, oil out of it, or for a fishing or something of that, or per culture, etc. But not to a larger extent. So how many left then? 97% of the water is a sea, not to our direct use. only 3% of the beautiful earth contains fresh water. And that fresh water is now divided into two parts. The one which is a stagnant water, what we call as a lake, pond, and other things. Stagnant water is now getting polluted, or we are losing our immunity system. I will not out of place to mention that during childhood, we used to go to our village and we used to drink the water from the well. And you see, the well which we possess in our farmhouse was one of the well where they said that the water is the medicinal water. It solves large number of the ailments which normally human, if the stomach upset or something or other thing, they used to fetch the water from well. And when we peek down in the well, I very well found large number of the frog inside it. Even I visualized one of the snake, that is a water snake, move inside it. Large number. But then the nature has a power of recycling it, and it was producing, the end product was so productive that it was even curing it. Has the water remained to that extent? No. We used to, that the pond which were very distant in our village, where there were two ponds in it, they were not only used for the fishing. The cattle used to take a bath of them. There were not hand pipe even then. I'm talking about 60 years before. They used to take a bath of that, and then they fetch the water. And after sedimentation, they used to drink and cook the foods, and people were healthy. Now the things have changed. Now the things, if you drink the water, you may carry disease. Either we have reduced our immunity, or there are large number of chemicals inside it, the pollutant inside, the contamination inside it, which is injurious to our health. Considering this point, now out of the 3%, 2% of them are ice. So what left? The left is only 1%, and 1% is in the two forms, either running water or a stagnant water, which in the scientific term, the running water is called as the lotic water, and the stagnant water is called as the landitic water. And imagine it, even the stagnant water is 2 kilometers, the biggest lake, Baikal Lake in the Russian Siberian area, is one of the deepest lakes, half of the frozen, and the large number of animal varieties lives into it. So there are small ponds, ditches, pools, etc., which are used even today for the poor class of people for their daily use or for their domestic uses. And there are running waters like Ganges, like a large number of rivers, stream coming out from there, all those things. So those water is not only running on the surface of the water, they are running deep inside, and they are called as the underground water. So we are left with 1% of the fresh water. And this 1% of the fresh water one day will create such a chaotic condition, because the population thrust is increasing like anything. It is coming up in a very, very high proportion. So what would happen? There will, as Atal Bihari Vajpayee said, that the Third World War will not be for any other reason but because of the water. So water has become so menaced that it will remove the harmony between the people. What we are trying to get into, the universal brotherhood, create a center of the universal brotherhood. The water will create a menace, and would not only create a center, but will create a chaotic world. Why do I am saying so? Because a man generally requires, a normal man requires about 50 liters of water per day. But how much are we getting? There is a difference. Let us come to the Norway, New Zealand, or a Canada, where there is ample of water. One person utilizes about 1 lakh cubic meter of water per person per year. But what about the people who are living in the Africa, in the area where there is a scarcity of water? They are getting to 800 to 900, 1 lakh comparison to the 800 to 900 cubic meter of average. Some of them are getting even less to it. Average water per person per year. What was the condition when a survey has been made? A survey made in the 1858 reveals that the average person, the water availability of the average person was 43,000 cubic meter. 43,000 cubic meter per person per year. That was the distributed into. But what was there after say in 1990, then another survey was taken place. It has come down to 900 cubic meters per person per year. Imagine it, 43,000 to 9,000. And when, I will not be out of place to mention, that when we get into, I can give you, there is an example of a paper presented by Andrews Watson. He is a Professor Andrew Watson. He has presented the paper in the geophysics. And he calculated, he gave a data that for one computer, preparation of the one computer, about 42,000 gallons of water are needed. For creation, for the washing of your clothes in the warm water, that is especially the jeans in the warm water, it consumes up in America only. It consumes so much amount of energy and it emits so much of chlorofluorocarbon that the greenhouse effect is being enhanced to 1.5 times only by washing a cloth. Imagine it. Similarly, a paper production of a paper requires 7,000 gallons of a water for 1 ton of a paper. So imagine it. We have evolved. There is a population thrust has increased to so many times, and increasing time our industrial growth has increased to so many times, and the use of the water has been increased so many times. The population has increased so many times, getting to a ill proportionate distribution of the water, which is the basic jal hi jeevan hai, which is the basic requirement of one person to meet with, is not been able to meet with. Friends, these are the challenges which has come forward. Similarly, well, leaving aside that, when we get into more modern views, let us say, I remember, I being is now at more than 74 years old. I'm 74 years old. I remember 1965 when Lal Bahadur Shastri was Prime Minister of India. We had a war with Pakistan, and for the first time after the great defeat in the hand of the China, a very humiliating defeat on the hand of the China at the Nepal as well as in the Ladakh region, we won water, we won battle, and our forces were able to reach to the Lahore. But what was the condition there? The condition was that there was a scarcity of food. Prime Minister announces that at least one day in the evening, nobody should take a food. And I and our family were one of them who abided with that and promised it for the nation, because every second bread was coming from America. I did my research on a PL480, and PL480 was the scheme which was run by the wheat import, and the interest which the American government used to get, part of the interests are given for the development of the science, and we did research on that. So it was the condition when Bongler, normal Bongler, along with MS Swaminathan, made a revolution. And revolution come to an extent that we developed hybrid qualities. But what does this Megha Pathak says? What does this Bandhana Shiva says about? That it has created large number of ill-hidden problems. We have to able to produce. We are now able to export our grains to the countries, neighboring country, even to the affluent country. But what is that? Now the Prime Minister says, leave all those. Go to the millet. Go to the coarse grain. What we have left then. Because this is very injurious. The hybrid form, the content of the wheat, the number of production of the wheat has increased. The production of the paddy has increased so many times. Maybe the certain amount of carbohydrate and the protein content have increased. But when you combine two genes together, there are many lethal genes, the lethal qualities which are dormant to the certain stages become apparent. And the number of diseases what we are suffering at the moment is one of the reasons behind it. So what they are doing is, they are always promoting it that we should go to it. So one part is that we should think and consider about it. Are we moving to? Let us talk. When Nehruji was a very socialistic man, and he even refused the president of India to visit Somnath, because in a secular country, it is not. He may be right, he may not be right, I'm not questioning it. And he used to say that the temple of the modern India is Akra Nangal Dham. The temple of the modern India is Sardar Sarovar Bandh, or it is Tehri Bandh, etc. So what actually was there? What they did is the flow of the water, let us say the flow of the Ganges water, which was coming from a high stream, was blocked and a dam was created. What has affected that? What has it resulted to? It has resulted to the displacement of the large number of habitation, number of forests, number of old tribal culture has vanished. An whole area has been expired, with a very short duration, because when the silt comes, the dam bottom gets covered up. And now the dam water, the desilting is not being possible in such a big dam. So now one day it will become, certain places it are not working with efficiency, one day it will become. So the things visualizing, the water which we have read, I remember my mother used to, my especially grandmother used to drink Ganga Jal. Every morning, in every food and everything, she used to drop 2 drops of Ganga Jal. Even during our ritual, we being a Sanatani, when we use prasad, when we bring Chanamrit, we use Ganga Jal to it. The Chanamrit Ganga Jal, the prasad Ganga Jal, was so pure, and we used, the transportation was not that easy. So the bottle where she contained a Ganga Jal, or the jar where she kept a Ganga Jal, was retained for 10 years, 20 years without getting destroyed. How that was being kept for such a long period was a question which always hunted me. Why? Because there is a certain amount of interest, there is a certain amount of bacteria inside it, and that is microcytis was there, and bacteriophages were there, which used to. Now, creating a dam, damping it, it is filtered over there, it doesn't reach us downstream. Now the water will not last for that period. The water which contains large number of copypods, cyclops or daphnia, that is the phytoplankton, which this do contain as a phygophagus, the bacteriophagous and the phygophagus, large number of small insects are now fast disappearing. So what is the reason behind it? The modern thing has not only, it has become a curse. The Ganga Jal, which was such a poised jal, does not contain that amount of vitality or purity which he used to. So this is another step which has. So what the government is now doing? I remember even Pachauri, who has been awarded Nobel Prize, has been one of the, during probably it was 2013 or 14, I don't remember the year. In the World International Convention, he was one of the speakers, and he spoke about the ecological balance, and he spoke very well. So what actually happened is, now the government is implementing WSST, World Summit. We have a summit for the sustainable development. We cannot go for the development to at that level. They also have developed a national wasteland Development Board, that is NWBD. They also developed the World Conservation on the Environmental Development. They also developed Global Environment Faculty, especially the Global Environment Faculty was developed to accumulate money so that we can work out of the damages done by the affluent countries. Especially a large amount has to be deposited from the European or the American country to meet out the curses what the developing country has to bear. Because we are emitting very little amount of the global gases, the chlorofluorocarbons, to the ozone layer depletion are not disturbing the nature system. So these are the things which has disturbed our system to a greater extent. But how do now we meet the challenges is the question. If the problem is there, we should look after. Modi is right that we will have to modify the core food. We will have to avoid the fertilization, pesticide, etc. in the agriculture, not contaminating merely not only the water, but also our plant. It's a very shocking to report that the pesticide like DDT are even present in the certain mother milk, which is one of the purest milk, although in a very small part per million, but it is there. Now we have to think about the future, that we have to go for a development, a sustainable one. We can give so that we can give amenities, we can give resources to the coming generation to survive, to flourish, and to further develop. So these are the points which has to be as a 1% pure water. I have not reached to the what actually damages done by the marine water. I will be coming to, but how do we control it is the big question. The first part is in order to reach there, a small thing has to be done. I'm just giving you the heading because the time is fast fleeting and I will have to wind up in the 5 or 7 minutes. Go for a minimum water use. Human, we should not have a greed to have it. We should have to distribute to the water, even to maintain the basic necessity of the other or for the health reason. There should be dynamic and a flexible method. The water conservation, which has in the recent part is started, either in the pond, they are regenerating the ponds on the other thing, which has got converted into a complex or the building. Now they are demolishing the building in a large number of the city, even our village. The thing which has where the pond was, they are regenerating it and they want to store the water for the odd days. Then it will not only that, it will also provide a healthy ecosystem. Then what all has to be done? We have to develop a sufficient management quality to cater the needs of all the people. Third thing is the habitat. For the habitat, water quality has to be looked after. We should not see that the water which contains fertilizer, which contains pesticide, just drain into the ponds and other systems, thereby not only causing the limnological ecosystem, the life in the water system to a very minimal, but also inhygienic for the human consumption. So what we have to do, we have to go for a long-term planning for a renewal of the old system, getting back to, for the process where we can store more fresh water, we make it available to it, because 1% of the water and population has gone to the times more. Third thing which have to do is that the different water resources available at a different place has to revive and rejuvenate it. We should have to, next point is we should have a vision and a mission for understanding. As Atal Bihari says, that Atal Bihari also said, well, I was thinking, pondering, discuss about it, that let the river be joined together. I think, again, we are playing with the nature. And if we play with the nature, we do not know how the nature will respond to it. I do not know. I think that it has to be, because the water goes, when the water goes, it goes in the plot by which there is a defined route by which it moves. And what we are doing is we are putting an embankment to it. We are reducing the field area. We are reducing the marshland. We are reducing that area. So what happened? It overflows and is flooding. The reason is again, too much of a carbon dioxide emission and chlorofluorocarbon. Now the water. Gorakhpur used to be, as I started with, it's a C-class city. The C-class city meaning that after evening, you have to small shower, a small drizzle, and it become a very pleasant. Now the time has changed. Instead of, look about Dubai. Even in the month of the March, what happened in Dubai? There was a cloud burst. And what happened? 12 inches of water, which are normally occurs in the 2 year, poured at 2 nights in 48 hours, thereby flooding and disturbing the complete system. Why has the nature interacting to it? Or is it a celestial body, certain celestial movement which is affecting to it? I will discuss it in the next topic when we get into that point. Similarly, what to be done is, we have to, in order to avoid it, we will have to develop harmony in the public. We will not have to be greedy, but we will have to care the need of it. What is the reason behind it? The reason behind is natural hydrological fluctuation has changed. Why has changed? Because man-made, we have created a dam. A natural process of the Ganga coming with such a pure water, such a wonderful, that is phagocytes inside it, microorganism inside it, such a good for your health and everything. Imagine it. Even in every religion there is. When you go to the Islam, at the mountain of Hira, there used to be a Jam water. What is a Jam water? The water coming from a certain area inside the mountain, and that water contains certain mineral because it passes through. The water quality as it passes through what chemicals. You go to the certain places, even at the hill station, at the Badri ashram or other places, you get a hot spring and you take a bath to it. Now you not only get relief to it, but some of the dermal problem get cured. So how? Because it is a sulfur water. It is there in the Nalanta too. So what? We have to see into it. But then the natural hydrological fluctuations have been changed by too much ambitious development, unplanned, without a foresight. Then the other global hydrological cycle has also changed. When we talk about, we know that there is a water cycle, evaporation occurs, condensation occurs, then the condensation rain occurs, rain moves into certain, filtered into, get into to the underground water, other flow back into the system. So there is a continuous cycle of a hydrological cycle. This global hydrological cycle is also being changed, because of a critical artificial interference, unnecessary interference in the system. Excessive human interaction. These are the major reasons. So method for the sustainability, what would be there? That conservational changes in the stock flow of the water during favorable season has to be looked. Rain is there. Let not all rainwater be drained out. Let it be collected for the heydays, for the days in the dark when you need it most. Changing a standard of a living. We have to change it. We have to change the technology. We have to minimize the use for the purposes. And that is the population level. We will have to change our social structure. We will have to modify the cultural structure, and we will have to be in coordination with the nature hydrological equilibrium. So these are the things. So what were the main reasons for this soft water, that is the lotic and lentic water disturbances, were that dams creation destroyed habitat, they destroyed our forest body, they destroyed the villages, they destroyed the culture around it. All displacement for the creation of the electricity without understanding that if the water from the upper stream are coming, they are coming with a split and they will create a problem in the coming days. Then flood control, we have embankment. There used to be a playground. I come from a Gorakhpur surrounding area, the Rapti Nagari, where the farm is, the Rohini Nadi, they had a playground. During rainy season, the water and become a marshy land. All that marshy land. Even the estuaries, where large number of the animals live. That area, those areas are all fast getting depleted. We have to look after that. Agriculture has to be now an organic one. One which can be rechargeable, the one which can be recycled, not using large number of the chemicals which are pollutant, and we are creating a sewerage that is disgradable. They are not degradable. They are not degradable. Wetland drain. We have taken the wetland or the water bodies, large number of the low Atlantic water bodies for our purposes, and we have drained the water body to make the colonies and to make the establishment over them has to be rethink about, and we have to avoid it. So these are the points, a small point I wanted to touch with how the water is creating menace and what are our responsibilities to look after it. Now coming down, in the 5 minutes, I shall finish with the water that is 97%. We know that Seed Sagar has been, the Sagar with the milk has been chunned with the Amaravati, and this chunning has created large number of, so this 97% of the saline water, which is mainly due to the sodium chloride at the 70%, magnesium chloride and other type of the chloride or a sulfate of the metal and non-metal, which forms the salinity of the water. This salinity of the water do contain large number of the minerals, and it can be used. It can be used even the large number of fishes and other things. It can be used for the economy, for the health, for even prosperity of the nation and other things. So may it be the coastal region, may it be where the population is the more, may the euphotic region where the light comes and where there is the photosynthesis and the large number of the flora and fauna exist over there. May it be aphotic region or the semi-luminary region, or even to the benthic region, to the dark region where the light cannot penetrate, has to be looked about and cared about it. So those coastal regions or estuaries has to be worked out. Imagine it. What a wonderful life there inside it. And what we are doing, all type of the nuclear dumping, everything is being dumped in the sea. Even the radioactive things are being dumped into sea, thereby creating, and it will create sometimes the carbon dioxide, it will affect the global warming. There is an equilibrium of the carbon dioxide absorption in the water, and thereby the temperature regulation to the ozone layer or to stratosphere of the that is the stratosphere as well as the heliosphere. When these things has to be cared about. So that has to be done. 45%, even today, 45% of the population still live around sea. And what they are doing is, they are doing harm, and maximum are, they are putting garbages and other waste into the sea. They are the municipal and industrial waste, and the effluent has also been put into the sea. The toxic metal which is putting into there, the turbidity is being disturbed. Oil pollution, the oil is spilled into it. We are draining out the oil, and the large number of the oil is there. Fertilizer and effluent is being also is been thrown into the water. Offshore mining is affecting the ecosystem. And then if you go to Indonesia, you can find large number of volcanoes coming out of it. The plateau movement is also affecting to it. Radio nuclear experiments are being done. They are all the cause of damages into the system. And what does it affect to? It affects this total system. It affects I will not be. I will like to, I think, how much time do I have? 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Madam? Madam, am I audible? Hello?
Yes,
Audible?
Professor I, you have about 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes.
Okay. Okay. 3-4 minutes, I am finishing it. Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. That is what I was interested to. Now, what I was interested to finally conclude to that in 2017, there were the 3 scientists. One was called as a J.C. Hall. The other was a Michael Rosbach. And the third was W.C. Young. They got Nobel Prize. Why do they got Nobel Prize? Because they worked on the circadian cycle. Circadian cycle are, why do the bird migrate? Why do the fish migrate? Why do the fish from a seawater goes to the fresh water, or they come other way? That is called as a diadormic coming and going. And endodromous coming, catadromous going, anodromous going, petadromous going, that fresh water to fresh water. These all are regulated by the gene. The bird migrate for this is regulated by the gene. An analysis of the gene, the effect of the pollutant into the system, both in the water bodies where the bird comes, where the fishes migrate, Solomons migrate, eel migrate from the fresh water to give birth into, they all are being disturbed. The all population are diminishing. And we are all one. It is one universe. What I am speaking over here will remain forever. It is all affecting, not only you, it is affecting the complete universe. This effect is not merely to the catadomous or anadomous or diadomous animals. These are affecting their gene. These are affecting their ecosystem. And these genes and ecosystem are directly and indirectly linked to us. So rest assured that think on it, ponder on it, be alert on it. It is you who has to build, who has to protect, who has to go for a WSSD, that is sustainable development, with the love and care for one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ajai Rai ji. We have benefited a lot by your scientific approach of this subject, which is most important topic in the present scenario. Now, forum is open for discussion. Participant can ask question from speaker, and if someone wants to add, they are most welcome.
Oh,
Was I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Acha, thank you. Any question, any clarification, or any suggestion? Any suggestion, any addition to the topic? Or you can put any question. If I am able to answer that, I would be. Please do. I will do my best.
hello.
Yeah.
SVR Mishra from Gorakhpur, not from Gorakhpur, en route to Lucknow.
Oh, okay. Happy journey, sir. And a safe return to a natal land. May you get cured. I know I have heard that you have developed a heart problem. God bless you and you get cured fast.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Lot of thanks. I want that you should add that the water are of 7 types. Every matter is of 7 types. The water is also of 7 types. To throw some light on ether 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. It's a good question. When you talk about the water and water types, actually water basically in the science exists into the 3 phases. That is in the solid phase, that is the snow, a liquid phase, but then the gaseous state. When
Yes.
you talk about the water into the other label, when it is only the astral level. And when we talk about, even in the Sanatan Dharma, the 5 elements by which the body is made, during death, it dissipates, it goes back to the system. The only soul get migrated and it get into an envelope and goes to this, the long story to tell about. And you are very well aware of it. It's a topic, well, we can discuss it. But in the science, probably the 7 type of the water, because everything is septenary in the Theosophy. And Theosophy, I do understand, is not merely, it's not merely to what they have sent. You have to meditate on it to understand to the point. Because most of the thing is written in between. That is to my, I do understand that they are a weak person, and during the meditation, when I see and when I ponder to it, I get more clarity after reading the textbook to it. Mishra ji, I assure you that this meditation, I shall try to put my concentration on those points and let the divine, or if you can add certain thing about that water, 7 types of the water, I would love to listen to it.
Yes, so it is very irregular. Yes. You can speak, and I thank Dr. Ajai Rai. I thank Dr. Ajai Rai. Very nice lecture. I have heard at least 90%. So I thank him again and again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's a love.
Can I speak, please?
Yeah, sure. Most welcome.
Sir, I'm Anupam Sai from Gorakhpur.
Acha, Anupam. Oh,
Hi.
nice.
Sir,
welcome.
I gone through full lecture of yours. Really, it is a very eye opener for all of us. We are now bound to look after the situation of water conservation and all. And I think since we are in Gorakhpur, we should work for this.
Correct.
And the way you described सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा importance of water, and you quoted the Lal Bahadur Shastri who said to take food one time. That was I think very scientific, not in the scenario of poverty. And one thing I am not convinced with you. You said in the COVID period, no one died because of disease. But as you know, I was in Delhi. Many patients were admitted in the hospital. They spent 50, 60 or 70 lakhs for their treatment. And some of them could saved and some died. So how it happened? If you are saying that it was not disease, it was only due to water, how it can be?
Very good question. You know, what was the reason of respiratory failure? There is a large number of, when the virus get into your system, and when it reaches to your bronchial region, especially to the trachea, it is start producing an enormous number. And then immediately your immune system trigger out, and the lymphocyte cell start producing system against antibodies against them. And these antibodies react to the system, and reaction to the system, they actually dissolve the virus, and the virus dissolve. The phenomena is called as a cytokinin. The phenomena of cytokinesis, they in fact deposited into our circulatory canal, that is the blood vessels of the pulmonary system, and it clots still. The clotting of the circulatory arteries and veins did not permit the oxygen to enter to your system. So it was the virus which responded to. The virus has a life period. It is said that if you take a precaution or a medicine, you will get cured in the 7th day. If you don't take it, will take 1 week. But it has to go. It has a certain life period. So what actually the respiratory problem, the poor oxygen content, was because of the cytokinin. The cytokinin is the coating and the covering a small deposited to which our system was not known. Our blood circulation and the system of the filtration was not very acquainted with. So it normally accumulated in the system, and that created a poor oxygen intake into your system. So this is one of the reasons. Although the COVID-19 acts as the symptom of the COVID-19 is very close to the pneumonia COVID. The pneumonia is every elderly do have a certain amount of the water. So you have probably not you have mistaken that when you talk about where does it exist, it exists in the alveoli. It exists in the fluid present in the alveoli. The fluid present in the alveoli contains the pneumonia germ as well as the germ of the COVID. And how does it respiration or the clotting of the blood vessels of the resulted into the failure and death of the. So what you needed is a large amount of the. You needed an oxygen cylinder as one of the curative measures to do it. And then I never said that. That I said that the virus is at the two stages. A virulent stage, it is there present. COVID, if you remember, you have also read too, you have a biology student, I understand it. But you might have read in your BSc classes or intermediate classes, the COVID virus is present. The mutant variety is the COVID-19. And this COVID virus is non-pathogenic virus. Yeah. So what actually happened? It mutation gone. How does it mutation gone? There are various theories. One of the theories is that the space is full of the electromagnetic waves. And what we are doing is we are putting large number of waves in the system, including the getting into a 4G or a 5G. So when you disturb this, it interacts. The large number of non-violent, which are in the dormant state, the genes get mutated. The DNA is always present there. The DNA is what? A small fragment of the gene. So that DNA, when it gets into your system, when you get into your protoplasm, it get a mitochondria or ribosome of your cell, it start multiplying. And multiplying, then it is a stage where the proliferation is started, and then it triggers to your system. The system immediately responds the nature of the cell, the nature of the covering, and it produces the antigen. That is immune system, or the system antibodies come to. And then, the cytokine, you go through it. And that is why I said, don't go to that. The mucomycin, that is a black fungus also developed into it too. And then Omicron diseases, that is what? That is also caused that the nasophageal diseases came into it. Why? Because the cytokine provided a cultural media for the other virus to develop. I think it is a question we can meet together and can be discussed in the great detail. I have given a great lecture on COVID and COVID consequences of the COVID, how it come into it, and all that, how the system responds to it. So Anupam, we can discuss it the greater later, but I think I could able to solve it. I never said it is the water near water. It is not the disease. Yes, water did play an important role. What were you doing? How were you protecting? Virus cannot be cured by the medicine. Only symptomatic medicines are given. So in order to reduce the temperature, Dolo was given. Dolo 650 was a higher dose. Only to your thermostat, homostatism is there. There is no curative. There's not a curative medicine to the virus. So how we control to the virus is by adequate precautions, by washing, by seeing even if the small virus has come by the chance to your body or a system. Wherever we get the first opportunity, we use to wash our clothes, wash our body, wash our system, decentralize it, always centralize it, always using soap, always using a different type of, and that will actually help us by putting a mask. Although the mask concept to me is a very debatable, because the virus is such a small quantity, if the oxygen can get into through the mask to your nose, why not the virus get into your system? But then there is a different layer of the mask that do filter it. There is a different chemical attached to the virus. So the mask which doctor used to getting into, they were effective. So the only way was the precaution for the COVID.
Thank you so much, sir. Definitely, we will like to discuss at table itself.
You are most welcome. You can come and
Again, thanks to Susma ji, Theosophy, and Professor Ajai, my guru. It was really a very good program and informative for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, participants and speaker. Now, if there is no question, we will close the session by prayer. Asato ma sadgame, tamso ma jyotirgame, mrityor ma amritangame. From the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light,
and from
death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhna, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukh bhag bhavet. Shant.
Thank you, one and all.
Shant.